So everybody tells you to take the safe path. Get a stable job, work the 9 to 5, play it safe, don't take any risks. And for the longest time, literally my entire childhood, I believed that. I fell into that. I was very studious in high school. I maintained a 4.0 GPA. Anything under a 90%, anything under an A minus, I would consider a failure. I had straight A's all 4 years. I took the absolute hardest classes offered. I was taking college level classes in high school, which helped me graduate college in 2.5 years. But then COVID hit. And that's when everything changed. Because on the surface, having a job, it sounded safe, that you have your guaranteed paycheck every 2 weeks, you have a routine, benefit structure, etc. Everything that goes into having a 9 to 5. But what I realized is after COVID that this is not the correct path, because this is actually so risky. You are relying on one source of income. You have one job, one paycheck. And after COVID, with all the layoffs, I realized, like, well, hang on. There's got to be more to life than just going down this route and living inside of this box and doing what everyone wants you to do. The company decides whether you're going to have money next month. Like it was just such a crazy concept to me. And during this time in my high school years, I was doing various side hustles. Nothing was really working out. In my senior year, I actually got like a normal job just to fluff up my college resumes because I was applying for Ivy League schools, etc. So, showing that you're, busy and occupying your time, etc. I was doing that, but even working in that normal job, I was making money on the side. And there came a point where I was actually making more money. So my first ever job, I was getting paid $8 and I think 40 cents an hour, $8.25 an hour, something like that. Like post-tax, it was like $7. But I was a greeter, okay? So people would walk into the store and I'd be like, hello, welcome, how are you? And I just got paid to stand around. And then every now and then I would work at the cash register, but it was very like low-level work. And I was like, okay, sure, this is like an entry-level job. But, there's some people that's their whole life is like they work at like these retail stores and, okay, more power to you. I'm going to go to college. I'm going to get an office desk job. But then I realized that fundamentally it's going to be the same exact thing. So COVID changed my life entirely because in high school, I was this perfect straight A student. COVID hit, then I went to uni, and during university, I was not caring about grades at all. I was just trying to make money. I was in class, actively making money in the back of class, not paying attention. I would always be just eyes glued to my MacBook and just finding various ways to make money, whether that was through reselling, affiliate marketing, etc. And I realized that the 9 to 5 is not safe. Mind you, you're probably asking yourself right now, like, hey, why were you at uni when you wanted to be an entrepreneur, business owner, etc.? The only reason I went to school was to make my parents proud, because my parents had this old thinking that school was the defining moment, that is the only way that you could be successful. And, now they don't doubt any of my decisions because I made it. But you have no idea how many people questioned what I was doing. I was running a business from my dorm. I was reselling products. And actually a very close family friend of ours, this girl was applying to the same university and she was checking out the dorms, etc., getting a feel for the school. And she saw my setup, I guess my business setup. And then her and her mom were like, oh, you're still running that small business of yours. How cute. Little does she know that little business does more in a month than they probably make in a year. But that's beside the point, right? I just came to the realization that a 9 to 5 was not for me. I can't have somebody telling me what to do with my time. Now, there's nothing wrong with a 9 to 5. I'm not drilling it down. But the reason why I still to this day believe that it's riskier is because you are betting all in on just that one paycheck. And COVID with the layoffs, it was kind of a changing moment in my life where I realized, like, yo, this could happen to the most talented people. Like, these companies are having layoffs. I was just reading an article the other day how Disney's laying off 1,000 people. Now, imagine you're working at Disney, which, on paper sounds like, oh, wow, he's working at Disney. That's a great job, Disney's a successful company. They have all these amusement parks, their subscription. These guys clearly have money. They're not going to lay anyone off. Next thing I know, they have a new CEO where his first big move is to lay off 1,000 workers. How is that considered safe? It just never made sense to me that once that one source of income disappears, everything disappears with it. You still have bills to pay. That doesn't go away. That is when I went all in on this like entrepreneur route. working for myself, creating multiple sources of income, that in the event that something fails, I have something to fall back on. And, you know, me creating this YouTube channel, maybe it'll lead to something. But right now, my goal with this channel, just kind of documenting what I think, because what's in here and how I think is so different than what everybody else my age is doing. And, you know, I've even shown friends, I'm like, yo, like I have this business here. One of my friends decided to come work for me, and he's making more money than he's ever made before. And I'm just telling him that, like, yo, there's more ways to make money and succeed in life than just going to school and having a degree. Because in the 20th century, going to school, it had an immediate benefit. If you had a university degree, you were able to get a substantial increase in pay. But now, so many people are going down to school because it's just the safe and normal thing to do, that you are diluting the value of the degree. I remember when I was at my graduation, I just saw, so I have a business administration, business management degree, and I just saw how many people were at the graduation, and I'm like, hang on, this is just one school out of hundreds of schools, and there's tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of these business majors that are graduating every single year. So how is that like a flex? Everyone has it, you know? So why do you think that going to college is magically going to get you more money? Now, all the people that did go down that traditional route that I was surrounded by, you know, they get their entry-level jobs, they're making 60, 70 grand, but that is not FU money. Now, that's not to say that I immediately want like a crazy level of wealth, but I want to be able to enjoy my life without having to be worried about money 24/7. These people who are working these entry-level jobs making 70K, they need to have budgets. They need to allocate, you know, for bills. They need to be mindful of their spending. I didn't want that. I didn't want that for my life, you know, and it was just so hard for people to understand, and I didn't care. I think that was one of the best things that I did in my life, was that I didn't care what other people thought. I was just doing me. I was like, hey, I want to have a surplus of cash. I want to have money to do whatever the hell I want to do, and I'm going to live life on my own terms. And this house that I'm recording this video on, I actually bought it at 20 years old, okay? I bought a home before I kissed a girl. So clearly, whatever I did, financially speaking, made sense, okay? Most people, Gen Z, you might be watching this video, you're 30 years old, you don't have money to save up for a home because you bought into the system that getting a job was the smartest thing to do. I didn't do that. And I'm here to just share what I've learned along the way and to tell you to take that risk. You know, don't be afraid, because there's so many different ways that you can make money in today's day and age. And, you know, I'm not telling you to be an entrepreneur like me or to be a business owner, but you can pick up any kind of side hustle, you know. You utilize your skills, find what you're good at, and monetize it. There's so many ways, especially if you're living in the US. You know, I'll have more forgiveness if you live in other countries where it's a little harder. But, you know, I stand by the statement that the American dream is still alive today. There's a lot of opportunity in this country, but you need to be willing to work for it. If you're willing to work for it and stay consistent and do it for a long enough time, there's no way that you can't win. Hopefully you guys learned something in this video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe. I'm having a lot of fun, you know. I'm just speaking my mind. Maybe some stranger watching this video right now, maybe they'll learn something. But yeah, till the next one, you guys.